there's talent in a lot of key spots. And with the amount of draft capital that we have at our disposal over the next 2 seasons, it's really exciting about what we can do there, especially knowing that that's the highest volume of draft capital that exists for any team in the NFL over the next 2 years.
I'm excited. It started with Liam becoming our head coach. It was clear as we sat with him and his vision for how we wanted to play football, what the identity and the standard was going to be at the Jacksonville Jaguars was exactly how I think about it. And you guys know through all the conversations I've had with you about you got to be tough, physically, mentally, smart football team that's disciplined. And that's exactly how Liam looks at it.
To the Jaguar fan base, I turn to you. With Liam's vision, with a disciplined approach, we're going to bring you a product that you all can be proud of. And we are so appreciative of your support. With that, game on.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday to you. The NFL Scouting Combine, now that we've heard from the people we really want to hear from, Tony Smith gets underway with all seriousness after you've heard from Liam Cohen and James Gladstone a bunch already now since being hired. And Frank Frangie sat down with both of them yesterday. Hopefully you've caught those interviews throughout the day on 1010XL. We may play a clip or two out of that. Frank will join us from Indy, and Hayes will in the second hour. Hayes Carline, as 1010XL has boots on the ground. What's up with you, Tony Smith?
Not much.
Let me tell you.
Trying to get locked in here with the combine.
Yeah, for me, the combine is like background noise, and that's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm more end of the day, catch up with the highlight clips of, the record-breaking performances in the 40, the great gauntlet drills, whatever's buzzy, you can go back and find and watch in 10 minutes. For some people, they like to turn it on and devour every second that they possibly can. That's not me, really.
Well, and the combine is obviously about the players being on the field to work out, and that's what you're reacting to there. But I think it's also about the whole league is in the same building at the same time, right? And this only happens a couple times a year. It only happens at the combine and at the draft.
Not a good time for a meteor strike,
right?
You're saying.
Like these kind of things to happen. And the combine is where it's all talk, right? Like they're all talking to one another, probably about things they're not even allowed to talk about, at this point in the offseason. But that doesn't mean this kind of work isn't being done. And out of the NFL combine, when everyone's been together like this, the news gets a little bit more focused about what's going on with players around the league, how they're viewed, kind of the trade talks that have been going on for the last several weeks, who is and who isn't available, and what is the price that's going to be asked for these different guys that may be available across the league right now. The combine is where all those things kind of come together as well. And I think that for me is the more interesting part of the combine, is the way the news shifts coming out of the NFL combine across the league.
It does, but I feel like it goes in like two waves. You have the initial wave of everyone has their arrival interviews like we did yesterday. You're going to hear from all these guys in a 24 to 48 hour period. And then you're going to hear afterwards, like, this is what we heard throughout the course of the week in Indianapolis. When I talk about the combine, I'm talking about watching the actual athletic workouts. Obviously, all this is important to some degree or another, although, interestingly enough, the LA Rams are a team that has downplayed attending the combine in person. The Jags sent everybody, right? So who's to say? Just because James Gladstone and comes from there more recently, and Liam Cohen was there once, doesn't mean they're going to follow every single edict that Sean McVay has laid out, and we'll see how that develops over time with this team. But today's question of the day just asks you about the combine. We usually ask something related to the combine around this time every year, but now that the Jags have a new set of decision makers in place, are you going to pay more attention this year? And so the options we gave you are yes, I'm reinvigorated. In other words, maybe I've always watched the combine, but I was not planning on it because I'd been balkied. And, my enthusiasm had waned. Get it. Yes, we're back in the top 5. We haven't been there for a couple of years. No, I already pay attention to the combine. So, the front office situation is not going to change my interest level, or no, the combine's boring. And right now, 25% of the people say that is exactly the case. And I get it. Not everybody wants to watch these guys out of uniform running around when you're talking about less than, 1% of them are going to end up on your team or something along those lines. Maybe not less than 1%, but 1 or 2% of them end up on your team.
I could remember the one year I got to go to the combine and cover it was 2016. And that was the year Miles Jack, all that was going on that year. And every time I saw Kevin Kaplan, who's the Jaguars team doctor, and I knew he'd be doing the medical evaluations, and it would be wherever I met him, anywhere in the city, that entire 3-4 days that I was up there, I was like, so how did it look for Miles? How did it look for Miles? Like, it got to a point where he would see me and just start smiling. He's like, I know he's about to ask me about it. He knows I can't answer. And every time I would ask him, it would still be the same. It's like, I can't tell you anything. But I kind of half gauged off his reaction to me being that it was almost like he was telling me with his eyes that it's fine, right? The Miles Jack thing, the knee thing is actually fine, which, it did inform how I felt about what the Jags may do there in the first round. I didn't back down from my idea that Miles Jack could still wind up being a first-round pick. I was very happy when he wound up going to the Jags in the second round and was comfortable with it based on the way that I saw Dr. Kaplan react to it for 4 days up there in Indianapolis. Whether it actually meant anything or not, who knows?
The knee never had presented an issue for Miles Jack.
But I do think the medical evaluations, and we're not privy to any of that, right? Like, I have no idea.
Unless you get something that's leaked, and then you don't know if it's true.
You just have absolutely no idea. The best idea I've ever had about any of it is when I got to see Kaplan for 4 days in a row when it was all going on. It was the best idea I had of what might have been going on with some of these evaluations, but even that, I was asking about one specific player that I was concerned about. It wasn't the league. It was, he's the doctor that gets to evaluate Miles Jack. And it does feel like, I don't think the whole league sends their doctors. I think there's a group of kind of team doctors that are there that do the evaluations and give the information out to everybody, is at least the way that it feels like it works to me.
Shared medical.
And it should be. Like, that's fine. I think that is as big a part of the combine as anything.
I mean, if you want to bring them in for a workout or whatever and run through your own medical rigmarole, you should on the borderline cases anyway. But so anyway, that's our question today. That'll operate kind of in the background today as we'll go live to Indianapolis each hour. As we mentioned, talking with the guys on the Frangie Show and their impressions of the new Jaguar Brain Trust and what they expect to see or hope to see on the ground in Indianapolis today. They'll do a show there today as well. It's Mock Draft Wednesday. So if you want to send us a mock that you've done, Pro Football Network still lets you do 7-rounders for absolutely free. You can do 3-rounders over at PFF. There are probably other mock draft simulators out there. Wherever you do one, screenshot your final results, send it along to us either on social media or on the text line, what have you, and we'll highlight a few of those along the way today. I went less crazy with the trading this time around. Only one minimal trade in this deal. And we're also operating for the second week in a row as if we filled at least one position in free agency, or at least paid attention to that position, signed a guy to come into the room to compete, whatever. And we'll talk about that and how that influenced our decision-making process as well today. So if you want to be a part of the program, the ways to do it, as always, 641-1010 on the phone lines or on the text line, designed by Lifetime Enclosures. Hit us up in the YouTube virtual studio chat or jump on social media at MD_1010XL, at 1010XL Fat Tony, and at 1010XL Denmark.
With that, game on.
Game on. You don't have any friends who go to Ole Miss, do you, Dylan, by any chance?
No.
Okay.
My
Wild
buddy
times.
Graham does, though.
Who does?
Graham that works here.
He goes to Ole Miss?
No. Graham had a friend that went to Ole Miss.
Oh, he had a friend. Yeah, I thought Graham went to U of F, right?
Yeah, he did.
All right. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sure we've all known somebody who went to Ole Miss over the years. Just interesting times there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we don't get into college stuff, though. So
Hotty toddy.
We're a pro football-oriented program. Everything good with you, though?
Oh, yeah.
You locked in today?
Yeah.
Feeling good about your mock?
That's all right.
Yeah.
I want something different in my first round. So
All
I
right.
haven't done yet. So.
All right. We'll mix it up. We'll do those next. Frank Frangie, about 25 minutes away. We'll take you live to Indy for the latest on the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll probably hear a few thoughts today from Liam Cohen and from James Gladstone as well, although you've been inundated with a lot of that over the last couple of days. It is your Jacksonville Jaguar brain trust now, along with Tony Baselli. So really don't know who you'd rather hear from at this time of the year. So with all that said, we're underway. You're listening to Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, Dylan Denmark. Keep it right here on 1010XL and 92.5 FM. Hey, folks, Mike Dempsey here. Calling a timeout to shout out Awaken 180 Weight Loss for passing their 10-year anniversary with just phenomenal results. Paige is their founder. She developed a long-term solution for weight loss over a decade ago now that can work for anybody. If you're listening, she can help you lose weight, and she'll help you keep it off as well, cutting through the misconceptions of lose weight, quick gadgets, fad diets, medications, no injections here. Completely revolutionizing the weight loss industry with real results. Most importantly, you get lasting results. Free support for life was and still is the backbone of the Awaken 180 program. And 10 years later, over 23,000 clients have lost a combined 750,000 pounds, well on their way to 1 million. You can become the next Awaken 180 success story. Learn how to eat to lose weight. Turn your body into a fat-burning machine. Feel better. Get compliments. Be healthier. All those things. How do you get involved? Schedule a free consultation online at awaken180weightloss.com.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Wonder what Jeff Prosser would be doing if he wasn't on 1010XL?
What do you know about stock car racing?
Watched on television, of course.
You've seen it on television?
ESPN. The coverage is excellent. You'd be surprised at how much you can pick up.
Jeff Prosser.
Sure I would.
Mornings on 1010XL.
Ackerman Urology offers the most advanced options for improving men's health and vitality. Their board-certified urologists treat all prostate disease and sexual health issues. Call their new location at World Golf Village or visit AckermanUrology.com.
Tired of seeing the signs of aging in the mirror? Fine lines, sun damage, redness? They don't have to be part of your future. I'm Dr. Mark Capel, a board-certified dermatologist, and I can help you look and feel your best without invasive surgery or painful treatments. Imagine rejuvenating your skin in a relaxing, comfortable environment with minimal to no downtime. Smooth out fine lines, even skin tone, and restore that youthful glow. Find out how to look and feel your best at Dermagnify.com. Dermagnify.com.
There's a lot on the line in a divorce. Your home, savings, maybe even your kids. So when you find yourself facing divorce and the unexpected directions it can take, you need a partner you can count on. I'm Rick Julius, a partner at Cordell & Cordell. Don't let divorce take more than it has to.
Offices in Jacksonville. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's attorneys. Lisa Cargis, Florida resident partner. Rick Julius, licensed in Pennsylvania only. Online at CordellCordell.com.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on 1010XL. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
The LPGA Stars of Tomorrow are at the Epson Tours Atlantic Beach Classic, presented by Access Golf, March 6th through the 8th at Atlantic Beach Country Club. Tickets available at AtlanticBeachClassic.com. See the ladies shine on the First Coast.
What could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey, Prosser here. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold, hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, often no appraisals. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out and paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day, so act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com or 904-999-1508. Get the money you need for anything at 904-999-1508 or just go to LoanPronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org.
She's very comfortable talking sports and hanging out with the boys.
Mia O'Brien here, still providing the best multimedia sports coverage in Northeast Florida on 1010XL radio, video, and social channels.
All things Mia are driven by Arlington Toyota.
Brian Wall here. Would you take your paycheck, go to the bank, cash it, and then simply throw it up in the air? I didn't think so. But in a way, over the years, that is exactly what you're doing if you have old or builder-grade windows in your home. Even if you have a brand new home, those windows are not the best windows you can have to save on your energy bills. Window World has sold millions of replacement windows to homeowners like you, and Window World's customer satisfaction is the highest in the business. Please check Window World out yourself and save on your new windows and on your energy bills. Compare with other companies and you'll see Window World is simply the best for less. It's up to you. You can call Window World and get a free estimate, get the best guarantee in the window replacement business, save money on your new windows, and save more on your energy bills. Call Window World today at 904-443-7001 or go online to windowworldneflorida.com. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Lauren Brooks here for Terminix. When pests invade your home or business, you don't just need them out, you need them out fast. And you need to keep them out. At Terminix, they'll show up for you and eliminate pests quicker, just like they did at my house, because they care about what matters most to you. When pests show up, so does Terminix. Don't live with a pest problem, Terminix it. Visit Terminix.com today to schedule a free inspection online. That's Terminix.com. That's right, Terminix it.
Mia here. Since 1982, Closets by Design has specialized in creating dream spaces for every budget. My designer, Frances, made the process so easy. She came to my house and designed a beautiful walk-in closet that's already so incredibly functional for me and old Beau Valentine. Call today to schedule your free in-home consultation at 1-800-293-3744 or visit closetsbydesign.com. And take advantage of extended savings this month. Get 40% off and another 15% off with 18-month special financing.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
You know, Tony, what is one thing that I do a lot on the program?
Tease something and then forget?
Yes! Yes! First guess. We spent all last week doing our polls on the worst first-round pick in Jaguar history. And then as we left on Friday, it was a very close race. I only made it a 24-hour poll, so it wasn't finished until Saturday. Mm-hmm. Have we mentioned it, or have I mentioned it so far this week?
It's not been mentioned.
I don't believe I have. No. Yes. So anyway, C.J. Henderson came up on the outside and caught Blaine Gabbert at the wire. 34.6% of the voters said C.J. Henderson the worst first-round pick in Jaguars history. 34.5% saying it was Blaine Gabbert. 30.8% went with R.J. Soward. So there's a lot of love. And I do feel like if you had taken guys our age or older, Soward would have won this thing, right? Because I don't think, if you didn't watch him, it's easy to kind of dismiss. You go, oh, it's this guy, nothing worse than this guy. And that's fine. Look, it's a poll. Anyway, so for unofficially, C.J. Henderson, the worst first-round pick in franchise history. So say you, the Jaguar Brain Trust out there. And I mean, the listeners of 1010XL, those are the ones that we count on. What did Shad Khan once say, Tony? The fans are the people who buy tickets.
Yes.
Right? Well, that's what he said, Dylan.
When did he say that?
You didn't hear that? Oh, my. Well, you're a youngster.
Yeah.
This is going back now.
Yeah, this was early in his ownership.
Yes, very early in his ownership. He said the fans, they're the ones who buy tickets.
I was not paying attention to all the media
I get it.
openings back then.
Right. You were a young man, probably in like 5th grade.
No. I was growing up. I was in 8th grade.
You were in 8th grade? I don't know if you were.
Beginning of his ownership, I was 2013. So I was 15. I was in high school.
Okay, I'm de-aging you or something, or maybe I'm thinking it's been long. So 2013 was the year Shad bought the team.
I think so. 2013, 2012, right in that time frame.
All right, I'll take your word for it. But I'm thinking more back to the beginning days of Jaguars Today. But it wasn't really. It doesn't go back quite that far. But
January
anyway,
4th, 2012 is when he bought it.
2012. So January of 2012, all right, 13 years. And you would have been how old?
14.
14? You're 27 now?
Mm-hmm.
Man, don't act like it. But that could be a good thing. That could be a good thing. All right, so yeah, you were a little bit older than I thought at the time. I was thinking more like, I don't know, 8 or 10 or 11. I don't know what I was thinking, but still younger than me. I'm never going to catch you. All right. So anyways, congrats to C.J. Henderson, I suppose.
Yeah.
You win again. All right. Let's get to the mocks for this week. NFL Combine could have changed things. Certainly. A lot of things can change things. But we went about our business presuming the Jags filled a spot in free agency. Tony, why don't you lead us off? Tell us what the Jags accomplished in free agency and how that impacted your mock today.
Yeah, I said that they signed a right guard to be a starter for the football team.
Okay.
We can, eventually. I saw some people responding to the mock draft stuff this morning and said, I had him fill X, Y, and Z positions in free agency. And then I think we can do that if we want. But I do think for the exercise of this, it's more interesting if we say they signed one at this spot.
Pick one guy to solidify one position.
Right, like that kind of thing. And so, yeah, I had him sign a right guard in free agency that was starting caliber. I don't have any idea who that would be.
Okay. Brandon Sheriff is out there.
Yeah, that guy, I do not know. But saying that they sign a guard that can start for him in free agency. When I went on the clock at 5, Abdul Carter, Hunter, and 2 quarterbacks that come off the board.
Okay.
So it was the kind of typical idea
Usual suspects
of where they'd be at 5. And I had the trade offer to go down, and it's the first time in a few weeks that I've done it. I did take the offer from San Francisco, moved down to 11, got their second-round pick as well. So 111, 243, and a third-round pick next year. Slid down to 11 and wound up getting wide receiver Ted McMillan out of Arizona at that spot for the Jaguars.
All right, go ahead and finish out then because we don't have time, I don't think, to bounce round.
Sure. Second round at 36, safety Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. I think he's more of a box safety in my mind, though we'll see where he winds up. At 43, cornerback Trey Amos out of Ole Miss, so addressing the secondary there for the Jags. I saw a pro comp on Amos, by the way, to Carlton Davis on Bleacher Report, and I'd be happy if the Jags signed Carlton Davis, and I'd be fine with getting that kind of thing in the draft as well.
What round was that?
Round 2.
Okay.
Round 2 there for Trey Amos. And then third round at pick 70, defensive tackle TJ Sanders out of South Carolina. 383, edge rusher Josiah Stewart out of Michigan. Had him mocked a couple of weeks ago as well. Effort guy, going to be the third edge if he does wind up here. Fourth round at 106, tight end Gunnar Helm out of Texas. 125, went defensive tackle Darius Alexander out of Toledo. I think he's 26 years old. He's like a 6th, 7th, 8th year senior, something like that. So whatever he is, right? You're not going to be developing that guy. Fifth round at 143, safety Malachi Moore out of Alabama. He would be the free safety, so got a couple of safeties.
That was 143?
That was 143.
We're 143 Malachi Moore brothers today. Yeah!
And then in the 6th round at 184, center Jake Majors out of Texas. And 7th round at 223, running back Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt out of Arizona.
That's a mouthful right there. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. All right, Dylan Denmark, who'd you sign? What'd you do?
Safety, free agency. Then first round, I had the option to either, who was available was Travis Hunter, Mason Graham, Ted McMillan. I went a little different. I went Ted McMillan in the first round.
Over Travis Hunter.
Then I went Kenneth Grant, a second round, the D tackle out of Michigan. Third round, Mason Taylor, tight end out of LSU. 88 went Holland Pierce, the offensive tackle out of Rutgers. 106, Zy Alexander, the DB out of LSU. 125, Jay Higgins, linebacker out of Iowa. 143, center Seth McLaughlin out of Ohio State. 184, Clay Webb, the offensive guard out of Jacksonville State. And last but not least, 223 went with Lil Etienne out of Georgia.
Oh, Lil Etienne. Gotta love it. Gotta have the family connection. All right, there you go. By the way, I saw, it was interesting yesterday, speaking of Travis Hunter, that the Titans say they think he can do everything, but they think of him more as a corner, right? Where the Browns, who have the second pick, are evaluating more as a wide receiver. And their point was they think that his superpower, as they put it, is ball skills with the ball in his hand, what he can do with the ball in his hands. And here, we're going to give him that opportunity to get the ball in his hands maybe 100 times in a season by throwing it to him, handing it to him on occasion, whatever, as opposed to however many pass breakups, interceptions combined, how often you're going to have him touch the ball actually on defense, and that they think that that is the more game-breaking aspect of his ability that he brings to the table. It's going to be interesting, really, to see. And by the way, you know, the thing about him working out as a corner at the combine, I read into that a little bit more. You do have to declare one position. The corner workouts are going to occur before the wide receiver workouts, like the day before. So if he declared as a wide receiver, he wouldn't be able to jump in the corner group necessarily. Okay, so this way he can work out with the corners, and then due to popular demand, which I'm sure there'll be a lot of it, go work out with the wide receivers the next day. If he chooses to.
Calvin Johnson's not going to run the 40, but then he does.
And then he borrowed some shoes and he blew everyone's mind. Right? All right. So me, I went with signing a wide receiver. And I'm thinking more like Darius Slayton. Okay, like a Darius Slayton, but maybe you keep Christian Kirk for another year. Wide receiver is not a pressing issue for the football team. And it's good because I feel like if you don't go the Ted McMillan, you don't go the early route, I just don't love any of these receivers in the second half of the draft, you know? And I mean, yeah, maybe you'll find one in the second or third round, but I don't find that many that stand out other than the guys that you probably have to spend your first-round pick to get that are going to be gone before 36. So took care of wide receiver. So I sat there and I took Mason Graham, which is only the second time I've done this, going back to the very first mock draft that we did. So I took Mason Graham, and then I bit the bullet and took Gray Zabel at 36. Now, is he going to be available at 36? You see a lot of mocks now where he's in the first round, but I feel okay mocking him there, right? For a while. The first time, I think going back to my first mock, I took Gray Zabel. It was with like either the fifth round pick or maybe the second, fourth rounder.
Late.
It was crazy, right? And you were like, wow, this guy seems really interesting. And now he has rocketed up the board. So I take Gray Zabel. He can play basically any position, but I'm thinking of him to compete at starting guard immediately. Took a guy, probably the most mock player. Here's the one trade I made. I went from 70. The Raiders made an offer to come up from 73 to give me pick 144 to go back a few spots. I looked at what was available. I said, all right, I like it. And I got a guy that I always take right around there, and that's Kyle Kennard, the edge rusher out of South Carolina. Same thing, third pass rusher for this football team, picked up an extra pick in the process. Took cornerback Dorian Strong out of Virginia Tech at 88. Elijah Arroyo. Now, again, this is a guy, initially, he jumped up and people were mocking him in the first round. I think that's starting to settle back the other way. And maybe after the combine, he'll shoot back up, but who knows exactly where he is. But out of Miami, addressing the tight end position. Luke Kandra, a guy I've mocked to the Jags several times at 125, guard out of Cincinnati, more interior line depth. Malachi Moore, we just talked about at 143. Dylan Sampson then with my freebie, the Tennessee running back at 144. And he is a guy that I think they should start to look at in like the fourth round if they pass on the earlier wave of running backs. Sure. Here's the interesting one to me.
Yeah.
I went with Tyler Shaw, the Louisville quarterback, with pick 184 in the sixth. And this is a guy that has a lot of tools, right? And people are really like, if it weren't for this little thing or that little thing, Tyler Shaw would be much more in the conversation among quarterbacks. He may go well before this, but I don't mind the idea of the Jags taking a developmental quarterback late in this.
They need a backup.
And then the same guy I took last week with pick 223, Jason Marshall, the Florida corner, because he's got really good size, you know, and I want a corner with some athletic traits because he's going to have to be able to play special teams if I'm taking him there. So a couple of offensive linemen, a couple of defensive linemen. We're hitting the same positions. More Kandra, Sampson, Zabel, Marsh. I'm getting a lot of these guys, Kennard, again and again and again. So I'm trying to mix it up a little bit. But anyway, send us yours. We'll take a look at them in hour number 2 coming up. I will find that now, Tone, when I see mocks, some people are mocking Mason Graham to go like second to Cleveland. And where I'm kind of like, if Mason Graham at 5, I'm kind of like, maybe. I can see it. I'm not going to be upset. There's a lot of defensive tackles. Show me a mock where he goes in the top 4, and I'm like, wait a minute. That's my guy. You can't have him, right? So I'm a big hypocrite on that front as well, right? Like, it's like I don't want to take him at 5, but if you take him at 2, now I'm mad because I wanted him at 5.
Like, I traded from 5 to 11 in real world. Like, I'd be okay if that kind of thing came up for the Jags. I would also be 100% on board if they stayed at 5 and took Mason Graham.
Sure.
Right? Like, I do have Mason ahead of Ted McMillan in my mind now. For me personally, for the Jaguars. So every time I do a mock draft and Mason Graham is the guy that's available to me, I'm kind of like fist pumping in my mind. I'm like, yeah, that's the guy right now that I think is most likely to be available to the Jags that actually becomes available when we do these mocks. And that's part of the reason why I traded out for the first time in a few weeks. I hadn't traded out because Mason had been available to me. And I was like, right. I'm very happy he was available to me again. I was like, what's it feel like if you trade out of this spot now? To go down somewhere in that 10, 11, 12 range, and I still wound up getting Ted McMillan. I'm not unhappy with that.
Right, and look, I think this is only the second time I've mocked Mason Graham to the Jags. I have had a different guy in that spot, and usually I am trading back because, you know, I'm that guy. I want to accumulate picks. I want to accumulate value. I feel like, you know, if they're close enough, I'll take the guy at 12 if I'm getting paid off enough. And certainly, and again, looking at like Kuiper's mock yesterday, where he had Shedeur Sanders falling right there to the Raiders at 6. I think he had the right, or maybe, he had them taking him, I think, at 6. Like in that scenario, or did he have him slide to the Jets? He might have had him slide to the Jets right past the Raiders, is what he might have done. I think that's what he did. I think if he is sitting there at 5, the Jets moving up 2 spots is the ideal scenario for Jacksonville. You're going to have, if you can't tell me if you are confident they're coming up for a quarterback, that you're not going to like 2 guys at 5. Because even if the Raiders take one of them, you're going to get the other guy. And if you get paid off like a couple of third-round picks for the effort, I think that's worth it with the new Brain Trust making those selections. All right, we'll head out. Speaking of Brain Trust, the Frangie Show, all over the scouting combine in Indianapolis, along with Mia O'Brien as well. Frank Frangie will join us next and give us his impressions of sitting down with Liam Cohen and James Gladstone yesterday and what they're going to bring to the table for the Jaguars and what's coming up in terms of our combine coverage as well. So keep those mock drafts coming in if you are so inclined, and we'll get to some of those in hour number 2. This is Jaguars Today on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL. The path to victory starts here.
Jacksonville on the move here. First drive of the game.
1010XL. Home of the Jaguars.
What a win for Jacksonville!
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Hey, Hicken here. I couldn't be any happier than to join the George Moore Chevrolet family. When I say family, I mean it. Visit their beautiful showroom today off Atlantic Boulevard. Find out exactly what I'm talking about. No pressure, just friendly help. And whether you want a car, a truck, SUV, electric, pre-owned, you name it, George Moore Chevrolet has it. And if you can't make it over to Atlantic Boulevard, no problem. MooreChevy.com is easy to navigate as any site you will try. It's never been more easy to use. George Moore Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
Daly's Dash is not only your Jaguars game day stop, but a great place to grab a meal any day of the week. To honor the Jags and the fans, we've crafted the Duval sub. The Duval comes with freshly sliced turkey, ham, melted cheddar, and habanero jack cheese, topped with crisp lettuce, fresh tomatoes, and a double portion of our secret sauce, all served on a fresh roll. Come by your local's Daly's Dash today to get your delicious Duval sub. Daly's is the official convenience store sponsor of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's Awaken 180 Weight Loss Wednesday
on Jaguars Today.
Hi, I'm Malcolm Anthony. Have you been charged with a crime? You don't have to face it alone. I'm here for you. Stay out of trouble, but if you don't, call me. 285-4LAW. That's 285-4LAW in the 904.
How many schools are there in the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, and the Pac-12?
When you file a claim with Southern Oak Insurance, we schedule one of our trusted vendors to work directly with you, which means a faster claim resolution. Find out more at southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours, Southern Oak Insurance.
There are 16 teams in the Big 12, 18 in the Big 10, 16 in the SEC, but only 2 teams remain in the Pac-12.
The future of football put their best feet forward.
Let's get started.
Hodges Mazda presents the Frangie Show at the Combine. Opened by Window World of Northeast Florida. Roll through the off-season with AA Automotive on Richard Street and 1010XL.
If you're listening to 1010 and you're a parent, chances are your kids are playing sports. Well, check out i9sports.com with spring and summer registration open right now, including all new girls volleyball at Duval Charter Bay Meadows. i9sports.com, enter 1010 for a discount.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey, buddy, you look worried.
Worried? I'm apoplectic!
You're what now?
I'm freaking out, Jason. Stupid water heater crapped out, so I haven't showered since Thursday. I start smelling a little funky, blow my big corporate job interview tomorrow. I'll end up settling for some dead-end career selling spatulas on the internet.
Dude, stay cool.
There's nothing cool about a cold shower, Jason. I mean, I know how that sounds, but...
Bueller Air and Plumbing can get a new water heater installed today. The day you call. You could be smelling fresh again by dinner time.
Wait, you can do that?
Put on these sunglasses.
Whoa.
Is that cooler?
Oh, yeah.
Well, life moves pretty fast. If you spend much more time smelling like this, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
Okay, sports fans, Hicken here. Let's talk skin. I and Beaches Dermatology are reminding you all to wear your sunscreen. Spring is here, and that means more time outside. Grabbing the clubs for your tea time? Bring the screen. Heading out on the boat? Bring the screen. Headed to the beach? Definitely bring the sunscreen. All in all, make sure sunscreen is included in your outdoor activities. If you have any concerns now, give Beaches Dermatology a call. I've been seeing them for years, and my skin thanks me for it. Call today online at beachesdermatology.com.
You'll always feel good when you send someone a Kuhn Flowers floral or plant arrangement. This is JJ with 1010XL, and no matter what the reason, Kuhn Flowers has always come through for me. Order online at KuhnFlowers.com.
Open early and open late. Dailies is always there, making things easy for you to cruise in and cruise out. So hit Dailies Cold Case the next time you're craving a cold one. Bud Light by the case, plus plenty of singles to choose from. Corona to the king of beers to Stella or a Natty. They're all cold at Dailies.
Basketball is back as Division I college basketball takes center stage with the UNF Ospreys. Osprey basketball returns home to UNF Arena this Wednesday, February 26th, against Eastern Kentucky. North Florida is back home Wednesday, February 26th, against EKU. Tip-off scheduled for 7. Visit UNFOspreys.com/buy tickets now to secure your seats. UNFOspreys.com/buy tickets now.
Swoop! 1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
All right, Mock Draft Wednesday. Hayes Carline next hour from the Franchi Show. I believe, Dylan, you told me Mason Graham was speaking in the last 10 minutes or so. So I'm sure Hayes was listening in, and we'll hear what the massive Michigan defensive tackle had to say of interest, Tony. But let's head to Indy.
Yeah, Hodges Mazda at the Avenues presents Combine coverage here on 1010XL, brought to you by Window World of Northeast Florida as we head up to Indianapolis and check in with Frank Frangie. Frank, how are you today, bud?
I'm doing well, Tony. How are you and Mike? Thanks for checking in. Boy, this thing has become a crazy event, man. We were talking yesterday with some of the guys in 2015, 2016, there were 6 tables out in the hall. Tony, remember when we were here and you were interviewing, you and I had Gus, remember that interview?
Oh, yeah.
And there were like 6, remember there were 6 tables in the hallway that year?
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's 64 here now at Radio Row, so it's amazing what this event has become.
No doubt. What did you take away from the opportunity you had yesterday to sit down with Liam Cohen and James Gladstone?
You know, Tony, I thought a few things. Number one, I think they're going to accomplish the one thing everybody talks about in this whole alignment and collaboration thing. I think with Tony Baselli, who's a type A personality, kind of leading the charge, and these two guys that certainly seem to work in concert together well, Gladstone and Cohen, I think that they're going to get that part figured out. Now, does that manifest itself in a way that they win a bunch of games? We'll see. But I think they're going to be on the same page. I think they're similar. They think similarly, all three of them. Tony's a little older. He's in his 50s. Those guys are both in their 30s. But I think they all think similarly, right? And I think that's the first thing. And I think that was kind of the theme, not just my take, but other take is they got to know these two guys because nobody knew them. Nobody around here did. So my first thing is that. Then the second question is, can they do the big thing together? That's rebuild the roster and kind of help Trevor Lawrence take the next step. But all you can do now is be on the same page and pull in the same direction. And I do get the sense they've got that part figured out. I really do.
All right, so, Frank, one of the first things that James Gladstone said at his introductory press conference here on Monday was that he wanted to, acquire talent to fulfill Liam Cohen's vision of what he wants on the football team, right, which talks to your being in alignment and collaboration. And I know the answer is, that they always give. We're going to come to a consensus, but there are going to be times when people disagree. Does James Gladstone, in your opinion, get the final say on a draft pick in, let's say it's the 70th pick in round 3, and Liam Cohen thinks, I want to go this way, Tony thinks another way, and Gladstone thinks a third way?
It's funny, Mike. I asked that exact question to James yesterday. So what would happen in L.A. when Les Snead says, gosh, I really like player X, and Sean says, no, I really like player Y, and I know they're aligned and they like each other and they've built this together. But someone's got to decide X or Y.
Right.
And James pretty much said, hey, we do it with collaboration as long as there's no ego, blah, 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 blah. Here's my answer. I think it's a coach-centric operation. I think at the end of the day, Liam Cohen makes that call. Now, that's me guessing. That's no one telling me that, but I know this. When Shad Khan talked about finding the general manager, he made it clear this is going to be a coach-centric operation, and it's my job, talking about himself, Tony Baselli's job, and the new GM's job, who had not yet been hired, to give Liam what he needs. Those were Shad's words. I think one of the reasons that James Gladstone and even Josh Williams from the 49ers were in play is because they were both from coach-centric operations. I think Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan, respectively, make those decisions in Los Angeles and San Francisco. If you would have brought in a guy like Ian Cunningham, he comes from the Bears, where Ryan Poles, I think, is the boss. And before that, he was with the Eagles, where Howie Roseman absolutely is the boss. So I think they've built this, and the goal was to make this a coach-centric operation, and I think that's where their head is now. Again, I think it'll be collaboration. I think they'll talk through all the disagreements and come up with a consensus as best they can. But to your specific question, my guess is the coach makes the final call, not just in draft picks, but in all things football. I really believe that.
James Gladstone has mentioned the intangibles now several times since he's been introduced as the GM here. What do you interpret those intangibles to be that the new GM is looking for?
A guy that fits the locker room, Tony. A guy that plays above the X's and O's. Now, it's hard to find that, but he has said that a bunch. He said it to me yesterday. I've heard him say it at the podium. He said it a bunch. Not just a guy that runs really fast, that scored a lot of touchdowns, that bench presses a lot of weight, but a guy that you can count on, a guy that's good in the locker room, a guy that's maybe better in the last 3 minutes than he was in the first 3 minutes, a guy that thinks and acts the right way. I think that's what he's talking about. Not just a good football player. I don't want to say just a good guy because it's bigger than good guy, but it's a guy that's dependable, good teammate, reliable in the clutch. Some guys have that it. We always talk about that, right, in sports. The guys got that it. Guys got that knack. I think the goal is to find as many guys as you can with the it and the knack, not just guys that bench press a lot of weight and run really fast. I think that wave is changing, Tony, in the league. I mean, not that the combine numbers don't matter. Of course they do. But I think more and more they're looking at production more than traits. I think I asked James that yesterday, and he gave me the intangibles answer when I asked him that question. I think being good at football is now moving ahead of how fast did you run and how much weight did you lift. So I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, within reason, obviously. I mean, you still have to have the physical attributes to perform at a high level in the National Football League. The voice of the Jaguars, Frank Frangie, here with us. Frank, we're all reading tea leaves at this point in time on Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk, but what is your read on their standing on this roster at the moment?
I think they're going to try. Everybody thinks Christian Kirk's gone. Obviously, he's got the big cap number. We all know that. And you can spread it out over a couple of years and reduce your cap hit. We all know the number. I think it's hard to move on from good football players when you're trying to win now. I think teams, and I might be wrong, but I think they're both going to be on the football team. That's my guess now. I think it's hard to win when they're trying to win now. This isn't a rebuild. Trevor Lawrence is entering his 5th year. You've paid him a bunch of money. Everybody's a little bit impatient. You've got a lot of the pieces in place, Mike. I believe that you've got 2 offensive tackles and 2 rush ends and a good corner and a good quarterback and a star receiver. It looks like there's a lot of pieces in place. You're trying to win now. I think teams that are trying to win now don't make those changes. I think when you see we see cap casualties more times than not, in my opinion, it's teams that are trying to at least rebuild a little bit. They're not winning today. So my guess is they're both going to be on the football team somehow, some way. Even if you have to move some money into the future, which teams don't like to do. I hope they're both on the team, and I'm going to guess today that they're going to be on the team.
Last offseason, Frank, Shad Khan said something to the effect of we have to become a draft and develop team. We can't just be splashing the money around in free agency. Not that he's unwilling to spend. It hasn't been an effective method to building long-term success. So what do you think their approach is going to be? Roughly, let's say 38, 39 million in cap space, about middle of the pack. They could create more. If you designate Christian Kirk a post-June 1st cut, you save 16 additional million. Do you think they're going to be aggressive? And would you expect them to sign multiple starters in free agency?
I think I heard you say it, Mike, and I think you hit it. A minimum of a starter or two. And I don't want to put words in your mouth. I think that's what you said. I think that's what I think that too. I don't think you need 8. If you need 8, if you need 5, 6, 8 starters in free agency, then you're further off the mark than I think you are. I think a few starters in free agency. I think a lot of everyone signs 7 or 8 guys, but 4 or 5 of those guys are bottom dollar guys that are special teams guys or kind of fill out the roster. But in terms of starters and stars, my guess would be 2 or 3 at the most. I do think they want to build a team through the draft, and I do think they've got some pieces in place. In a perfect world for me, you got 2 things I think you got to do. You got to make the lines of scrimmage better, and you can't have the balls over the top against the secondary. The balls over the top were a killer for this team last year, and I don't think they were very good in the interior of either line. So whether that means Mason Graham, who just spoke here, whether that means free agents, I think you got to get better. And I think you kind of got to get better on the offensive front too, Mike, not just the defensive front. But to your question, I would think what you said recently, 2 or 3 starters out of free agency. I'd be surprised if it's less or more than that.
Yeah, I said, I'd bet the over on 1.5 starters. I'd bet the under on 2.5. So obviously, I think it'll be 2, but that is how I would bet it. If I were if that were an option.
Yeah, and Frank, along the lines of this kind of conversation, our top 5 yesterday on the show was building blocks on defense. Currently for this football team, do you think the team has 5 such players right now on the roster, building blocks on that side of the ball?
Well, let's count them. I think both rush ends are really good players.
Yeah.
I think Tyson Campbell is a really good player. That's 3. Building block guys, I don't know what I would call Ventrell Miller. I think he's a good NFL player. I think he's a very good. You're not talking about older veteran. You're not talking about Aluakun or Armstead.
Well, it's up to you.
However you want to fit him in.
Right.
There. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't count Armstead. You could consider, I think, Aluakun.
Well, okay, yeah. I in terms of building, in terms of guys that I think will be good football players for him this year. Both rush ends, Tyson Campbell, Foye Aluakun. I'm going to put Ventrell Miller in there. That's 4 or 5. I don't know about the safeties. I can't put any of the safeties in there yet. I want Andre Cisco to be what I think he can be if he's going to be on the team. I want Antonio Johnson to emerge the way they want him to. I don't think they've got a corner on the other side. I think Jarian Jones could possibly be that guy. But so I'm not wandering all over the place to your question, Tony. I would say there's probably 5 guys I feel are going to be really good football players defensively. Both rush ends, Foye Aluakun, Ventrell Miller, Tyson Campbell. That's 5 that I feel very good about, and I'm going to put Ventrell Miller in there. Now, can Mason Smith develop? I think he can. Can Antonio Johnson develop? I think he can. There's a bunch of guys I haven't given up on. Jarian Jones, I think he can. But I think there's 5 guys I feel very comfortable with here.
Yeah, I would keep Mason Smith. Like, the way I looked at it, if I was drafting off this roster of guys that I want to keep based on their age, their contract, everything, their talent, I would keep Mason Smith and Jarian Jones ahead of Ventrell just because of the importance of the positions that they play. But, I think we're all circling around the same 6 or 7 names for the most part there. All right, Frank, so what is your today going to be like in Indianapolis for you guys, and what can we expect on the Frangie Show today?
Yeah, Mike, it's crazy here. Obviously, we had the big day yesterday with James and Liam stopping by. We are going to have Tony Baselli will be with us. I think he's actually going to come on live. I'm going to interview him, and we'll do it live on Helmets and Heels. And I really want to ask Tony. We've had Tony 1,000 times, but not in this role. I really want to ask you, what has these 3 weeks been like? What is it like for you? What is it like? Tell me something about the GM and the coach we don't know. So we'll do that on the Helmets and Heels and replay it on our show. So that comes up today. Bucky Brooks stops by. Pete Crisco stops by. Some of the usual characters. And I know that both Mia and Hayes are trying. Finally, the prospects are here. It takes till today before the players get here.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to get as many quick, short one-on-ones. You know how this works. It's hard to get the players. but it's certainly asked some Jaguar-related questions to a handful of the prospects, all coming up later on.
All right, just ask Travis Hunter what uniform number he wants when he gets here, and we'll go from there. So
that I will do. That I will do.
All right, Frank, enjoy the coverage. We have enjoyed the coverage, and safe travels back, and have a great show today.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks to you and Tony. See you, buddy.
All right, buddy. There he goes, the voice of the Jaguars, Frank Frangie, today. So you'll hear from a bunch of luminaries, including, of course, the new executive vice president. How's the last 3 weeks been? Well, let me tell you, right when that first direct deposit hit, it was like crack hitting the veins, baby. I don't know. Does crack hit your veins? I've never done crack, people. All right, so I'm not really sure where crack hits you. In the brain, somewhere, in the lungs.
Insane in the membrane.
Insane in the membrane. I think that was about the chronic back in the day, actually, but I could be wrong about that as well. Fuzzy memories of the 1990s still in Denmark. All right, we'll come back and let's hear a selected cut or two from James Gladstone and Liam Cohen speaking yesterday. Things you may not have heard on this program. We carried the Liam Cohen presser live, so we won't replay any of that audio. We'll go around the National Football League. Hayes Carline, about 30 minutes away from joining us for an update on some of the prospects he's talking to this morning and his sense of what he heard from Liam Cohen and James Gladstone yesterday as well. As we continue along halfway home, you're listening to Jaguars Today. Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith, and Dylan Denmark on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars
Today.
From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Bone-crushing blows to game-winning goals. Yes! Feel the energy on 1010XL.
History!
Jacksonville Sports Radio.
Yes! Yes! Yes!
AA Automotive helps keep your vehicle in dependable and safe condition. Call Sam, Harry, or Joe, and they'll check your brakes, tires, fluids, electric, and motor, so your ride runs smooth on the road. That's AA Automotive on Richard Street.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
Hi, I'm Malavia Washington, and I am thankful to the players for being a champion for children here in Northeast Florida. Only 13 days until the Players' Championship.
Plumbing problem, septic emergency, HVAC system not doing its job? Don't panic. Call the pros at Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning. From leaks, clogged drains to septic installations and air conditioning repairs, we've got the tools and expertise to get it done right. Dial 904-862-6769 now and let our friendly team handle the dirty work so you don't have to. Remember, when you're stuck, call the Duck.
Awaken 180 weight loss.
Jaguars Today, Wednesday.
Hey, it's Angela and Brian Wall. How many companies do you know in this day and age that actually want their potential customers to call their competition and get quotes from them?
That's what Wonderworld wants you to do. Wonderworld knows there are other window companies out there, but we also know those other guys. When compared to Wonderworld, they can't offer you the quality at the price that Wonderworld can.
And with Wonderworld, you get the absolute best guarantee there is in the window replacement business.
If anything goes wrong with your new Wonderworld windows, 5 years from now, 10, 15, 50, Wonderworld and I will be there to fix it for you. You get peace of mind with Wonderworld, and to top it off, Wonderworld windows increase the value of your home. So look what you get with Wonderworld. Quality windows, low price, the best guarantee in the business, energy savings, and an increase in the value of your home. A win-win for you.
Call Wonderworld today and get your free in-home estimate or see them online at WindoWorldNEFlorida.com.
Wonderworld, simply the best for less. Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
Home of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Denny Thompson here. If you haven't heard, Tyson Sound and Security has a house built right inside their showroom, showcasing complete home automation and security systems. You have to see it to believe it. This setup can recognize intruders who approach your door and alerts them to leave if there's a break-in. Keep your family safe with the most state-of-the-art technology. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
I'm here with Clayton Bromberg of Underwood. Clayton, I've got a simple question. How much does a 1-carat diamond cost?
Frank, that's an impossible question to answer because a carat is only a measure of weight for gemstones. It'd be no different than me saying, I have a beautiful wife. She weighs 125 pounds, which you'd find is a ridiculous description. Diamonds are graded for 4 factors, and carat weight is only one of those factors. The others are cut, color, and clarity, and each of these factors is graded specifically and set by a certified gemologist in an accredited gem laboratory. So when you ask about a diamond's weight, we're going to tell you more than just the price. At Underwoods, we want a customer to understand how all 4 factors of diamond quality relate back to the rarity and value of the diamond. Needless to say, we all understand the value of a dollar. At Underwoods, we want our customers to know what their dollar buys in diamond value. So if you're shopping for the best, stop by Underwoods.
That's at Underwoods in San Marco, in Avondale, or at the shops of Ponte Vedra.
Hi, I'm Mac with Baker Glass. Are you tired of wrestling with your old shower curtain? Then say goodbye to the curtain chaos and hello to a new frameless shower enclosure. Wago Glass is clear, classy, and won't stick to you like a toddler at bedtime. Plus, it makes your bathroom look bigger and brighter. Upgrade your shower experience and step into style. Call me at Baker Glass and get ready to love your new glass shower enclosure. Baker Glass, no one treats you better.
The Beach Boys, Endless Summer Gold. Saturday, March 8th at St. Augustine Amphitheater. Tickets on sale now at AXS.com.
This is Molly McDonald with your 1010XL Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Local Sports Update. The Florida Gators were stunned in Athens after the Georgia Bulldogs continued to drain 3 after 3. The Gators found themselves down by as much as 26 points in the first half of the game, and their second half efforts would not be enough in the eventful 88-83 loss. Head coach Todd Golden spoke after the game on the loss.
Disappointing loss. Credit to Georgia. I thought they played great in the first half and stepped up to the moment in a game they needed. Played that way for the first 20 minutes. We just put ourselves in too big of a hole. Obviously getting down by 26 points, 13 minutes into the game is not ideal when you're trying to win a basketball game. But I'm really proud of our guys. Type of adverse situation. We showed a lot of heart, showed a lot of grit. To be able to get back to the point where we had a lead with 1 minute to go in this game was pretty incredible. Weren't able to make enough plays down the stretch. We need one more stop and we couldn't get it.
Gators next host Texas A&M in the O-Dome Saturday at 8:30. Catch the game live on 10XL 92.5 FM. It's 71 degrees at 10:56. Time and temp brought to you by Bueller Air and Plumbing. Stay cooler with Bueller.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Yeah, I do. I think we got some flexibility here, and we'll remain disciplined throughout pro free agency and address some specific needs. But I think you guys can all expect that with the amount of draft capital that we have, not only in this draft but the next, that's where we're going to be built.
There you go. You still got cap space, Tony. You don't have to splash around to 10 starters. Who knows? Maybe they will go and decide, you know what, let's just get one great player and go get Trey Smith, the 25-year-old guard from Kansas City, who is clearly the apple of the interior offensive line's eye. What? That makes no sense. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I hope someone might. That he's the best interior offensive lineman out there. People say, wait a minute, the Philadelphia Eagles destroyed them in the Super Bowl. Yeah, they did, right?
In
but
the Super Bowl.
In the Super Bowl. And it also, they were missing their left guard, so they're playing their left guard at left tackle, and so their line wasn't their normally constituted line. I saw somebody who said that Trey Smith probably had the best game of any Kansas City offensive lineman in that game. I don't know. Again, we're talking about one game. Hopefully it knocks his number down by a couple $1 million. I'm not sure. But I do think they'll at least fill one spot, more likely two. Like, I think they'll, if you're going to put me under the gun here, I think they got to sign an offensive lineman. I don't think you can, I guess they don't have to do anything,
Yeah,
right?
it's tough to go into the draft not having addressed it at all.
I would hope but if you sign one, aren't you only going to are you signing the depth piece, or are you going to sign a guy that you think can start? I think corner is the obvious spot because there are a lot of them out there in free agency.
It would loosen things up if the player right now that's their backup center had some kind of positional flexibility, but he doesn't. Right? Like, you can't go into the season saying, well, if we need him to play X, then we can have him play. He can't. He's the backup center, and that's all he is.
Talking about Fortner?
Yeah.
Some people think he can play guard. I don't know.
Well, I thought they moved him around doing that in training camp last year, and there was nothing there.
I agree with that, but I think there are a lot of people out there, particularly because Liam Cohen was at Kentucky when he was there. They're hoping for a resurrection of Luke Fortner. I don't know if you can trust anything that the coaching staff told you last year. They also told you that apparently Eric Armstead needs to be playing defensive end. Right? I mean, seriously, right? They're not. It's not like they made all the right decisions.
No, but I will say the thing that bothers me about Fortner is he gets pushed around
I hear you.
a lot, and I don't think that gets any better if he moves to guard.
I'm not suggesting he's an answer as a starter.
I know you're not.
But could he find a place on this roster as a depth piece potentially?
That's highly questionable to me.
Okay, that's fine. Because then you're really opening up another spot. Who's your swing tackle right now? Don't know who that's going to be.
No.
Right? I don't know if it's Foster.
Yeah, I don't know.
Didn't play at all last year. Who's your answer beyond Mitch Morse at center if Luke Fortner's not on the roster? Don't really know, right? Who's your starter at guard? Do they feel comfortable? I've seen some people suggest draft a right tackle and kick Anton Harrison inside. I don't know if that's plausible or not.
I have no idea. And I think that's where this whole conversation started. If they had a bunch of players that had the flexibility to do these things, then there wouldn't be so much pressure. Well, they need to sign somebody in free agency, because even if they're going to draft somebody, it's not going to address everything with one guy or two guys in the draft. Like, that's not going to answer all the questions. So something else is going to need to happen in free agency for this team. But I think the something else needs to happen is because they don't have – I thought the depth was okay going into the season last year. Didn't turn out that way.
Right.
It's the guys that we saw play. Who knows what the future of this offensive line is, but it needs a lot of help.
All right, we'll get to a few thoughts from Liam Cohen and James Gladstone here quickly. Mason Graham has already met with the Jaguars Brain Trust in Indianapolis. Dylan, what did he have to say for himself afterwards?
Oh, he said the Jaguars are a great organization. He's already talked with the coach and GM. That was all about said.
I would imagine he's going to, when asked by any team's media, he's going to say they're all great organizations.
Yeah, it was a very vanilla answer.
Right, and look, that's not a knock on Mason Graham. I'm just saying don't read too much into when you hear something like that. It's like, oh, Mason Graham wants to play for the Jags. Maybe.
Yeah.
Right, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything more than just being polite about the circumstance, keeping your options open.
On top of these being players that are going to be at the podium, how often does Mason Graham have to answer questions at a microphone? Right?
I don't know. In Michigan, maybe a lot.
Maybe. I doubt it, though.
He probably did for the title game, and that was it.
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Like these kind of players that were the quarterbacks.
Oh, at a podium kind of setting? Yeah, probably not.
Like they've never done this kind of thing. So there may be guys where you're like, they look more comfortable because they're just more comfortable doing it. But most players trying to say basically nothing on top of doing it for the first time, I think the answers you should expect should be along the lines of, it was nice to meet him. Right.
Sure.
Right. Like that's all the answers should be.
But if your impression is they ask good questions, they seem, like, oh, I might be a good fit there. They have a vision. And I'm not saying it's an untrue answer.
Right. And every now and then you'll run into guys whose personalities are just so big that they get asked a question like that and they'll be like, you wouldn't believe that.
Right. Like, then they'll give you some little detail to go with
that kind of thing. But not everyone's built that way.
So Hayes Carline coming up in less than 20 minutes. He was listening in to what Mason Graham had to say, so I'm sure he'll fill us in on more. Here's a few from Liam Cohen. Again, this is not from the press availability that we aired live yesterday, nor was it from Frank Frangi's interview. This is kind of like they do the press conference setting, then they break aside for like a lot of the local media. I'm sure some of the Bucs media were trying to get some singers in there as well. But by the way, Jason Light said, time heals all wounds yesterday. Oh, so you're over being a little baby?
Well, he was asked specifically about will they still do, training camp practices with Jacksonville or Miami was the question that he was asked. He was like, look, those things will all come down the line. We don't know exactly how that's going to work out. We'll see what the schedule is. He wasn't saying no. Right. They're not willing to practice with the Jags, and then he kind of smiled at the end of it and said, yeah, time heals all wounds. So it sounds like maybe they're willing to move past this. I don't know.
Don't care, quite frankly. I hope they're bitter and angst-ridden. All right, here's Liam Cohen on the Christian Kirk situation. What are his thoughts right now?
We haven't even gotten to that conversation. I've got a ton of respect for Christian. So many coaches that I know that have come across him, worked with him, have a ton of respect for him. So we're working through that. We're having some of those conversations, but have a ton of respect for him right now.
I mean, the cap number is large, but if Christian Kirk's not going to lose cash, why wouldn't he be open to a renegotiation to lower the cap number if that's the route that they want to go? You know, maybe they sit there and go, look, we got plenty of cap space. You know, you're either playing for a reduced number or go test the market and see if you can get what you're getting here in Jacksonville on the open market. His base salary, though, is $15 million, which, you think about it, Khalil Shakir yesterday signed a 4-year, $60 million deal. He was Buffalo's number one wide receiver, a slot guy, but he's decent run after the catch. He doesn't have eye-popping numbers. I think Christian Kirk compares pretty favorably to him. So I don't think the base salary number is out of line. I just think the cap hit of $24 million is not ideal for a guy who's clearly not going to be your number one wide receiver.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so right now. A little bit more from Liam Cohen yesterday in that the scrum that he got there with the Jacksonville media, mostly, I'm sure. It's what they were doing there on the side yesterday based on the questions that we saw got answered in this. But one of the questions was, how critical was it to have Ethan Waugh, who I'm still not sure exactly what his role is in the organization going forward, but how critical was it to have him around here for the last several weeks?
Critical. Ethan has been a great sounding board, obviously knowing the roster, right? Knowing the dynamics of some of the players, the evaluation process that led them to Jacksonville, whether it would be free agency, trade, or draft acquisition. So he's got a great pulse on that. And he's got a lot of experience that we've been able to lean on throughout the last couple of weeks. He's been nothing but supportive. So I've been pleased with him so far.
Yeah, I mean, what else is he going to do? He works for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Yeah. So I could see him having a role in the front office. I could also see him being here through the draft and then being let go, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know how much turnover you're going to have in the entirety of the front office and the scouting staff, but there's going to be some, I would imagine, at some point down the line. And that'll be primarily a James Gladstone decision to make. But, how much do you want to uproot everything 2 months out, less than 2 months out from the NFL draft? That's why teams typically keep their scouting staffs around, for instance. But so he's a great sounding board. Is he also a great buffer, Tony? Because now that's the dual role you want to have, like Baselli. You want to be a sounding board and a buffer if you really are in good graces with this organization. And then finally, number 5 from Liam Cohen, I say cut number 5 for Dylan's sake, the importance of what's going to take place over the next few weeks for the Jaguars.
The hire that we just made bridges that gap a lot quicker than maybe, if we would have gone in a different direction. Just what we're looking for, the type of players that we want to bring into this ecosystem, into this organization. There's automatic alignment. Right. Are we going to disagree? Absolutely. We're going to have different opinions. Absolutely. But knowing where James is coming from and that collaboration between coaches and personnel, I think has been just a critical bridge that automatically makes it a little bit easier for us to have those conversations and know the type of players that we're trying to go and bring into this organization.
Yeah, one here from James Gladstone yesterday as well. This has been a comment that, look, I don't know exactly what he means, but he means something by it when he talks about the intangibles of these players and what exactly that's going to be for this team going forward. Well, the first question he was asked when James Gladstone got into this media scrum yesterday was, what intangibles is he going to be looking for in these players?
Yeah, I think when you go there to the intangible realm, you're talking about two separate things, both on field and off field. And I think all of us can, when we think about the idea of intangibles, we can probably get to the same spot without even saying anything out loud. But on field, we're looking for competitiveness, toughness, and football instincts. Off the field, you're looking for people that elevate those around them and, are passionate about the sport of football. So it's really not all that complex, but it's something that we're just simply going to prioritize and be disciplined in our approach in doing so.
you think about the passionate love of football, and you think about the poll we ran last week where C.J. Henderson was anointed the worst first-round pick by the people who voted in our polls. I mean, those, was he underwater on those characteristics? Did the Jags not even look at that kind of stuff? I mean, it's very odd. It seems like, we're not as smart as those guys because they're paid big money to do this. Yes, they are, but they make a lot of mistakes. James Gladstone's going to make a lot of mistakes along the way. You can look over what the Rams have done, and Les Snead has done overall a pretty terrific job. And so that being said, go look at how many misses they've had in the last 5 or 6 years in the draft. Tons of them, because the draft is hard. Yeah, they've had probably a higher hit rate as well, but you can't realistically expect somebody to come in and nail like 9 out of 10 picks. It just doesn't happen almost with anybody.
No, and if it does, then maybe you have a dynasty for a decade like the Steelers.
Maybe you do, right? Like the Steelers had that draft where they drafted like 4 Hall of Famers way back in the early 70s.
Every now and then in the history of the NFL, someone's gotten that lucky.
All right, we got Hayes Carline coming up in a few minutes, but first let's take a couple and go around the rest of the National Football League.
Now, Gems Around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Kansas City General Manager Brett Veach said on Tuesday that the team is pretty optimistic about being able to re-sign guard Trey Smith, saying that they have had good dialogue with Smith and his representation in that regard. Baltimore GM Eric DeCosta said at the Combine that the team is hopeful about getting a deal done with free agent to be offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley. Seattle GM John Schneider said that the team is meeting with Geno Smith and his reps this week to discuss a contract extension. Buffalo and wide receiver Khalil Shakir have agreed to terms on a 4-year extension worth up to $60.2 million, with $32 million guaranteed at signing. Miami wide receiver Tyreek Hill had surgery for his wrist injury that he dealt with all season. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel said yesterday that the team is approaching the 2025 season as if left tackle Terrion Armstead will not be playing this year. There are reports that Armstead is considering retirement. Carolina wide receiver Xavier Leggett has undergone foot surgery since the season ended. Cleveland general manager Andrew Berry said that the team's stance on defensive end Myles Garrett has not changed, which is to say that Garrett has expressed his desire to be traded and that the Browns to this point have given no indication that they will honor that request. And offensive tackle Jason Peters has announced his retirement from the National Football League. Peters was selected to the Pro Bowl 9 times, a first-team All-Pro twice, second-team All-Pro 4 additional times, a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame All-Decade team of the 2010s. Peters didn't play anywhere last season. He is joining Seattle in their front office as a veteran mentor and an assistant to their vice president of player affairs.
All right, let me just ask you, Tone, quickly, and it's not apples to apples exactly, okay? But what would you pay more for, okay, as a team looking to add wide receiver to your room, okay? Give you 2 stat lines quickly. 48 catches, 836 yards, 7 touchdowns, okay? But not a lot of catches, but big production per catch. 48, 836, and 7. Or 76 catches, 821 yards, and 4 touchdowns. What would you pay more for?
Probably the 48, 807.
That's Gabe Davis.
Yeah.
In his second to last year with Buffalo.
Yeah.
As a not top of the depth chart guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Averaged, and not just that year. I picked his best year, what I felt was his best year. The next year was 45, 746, and 7. So very similar, right? Khalil Shakir just got paid $15 million a year. We're like, oh my gosh, they gave all this money to Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis making like what, $12 million a year, something like that. I'm not saying he lived up to it by any stretch, but prior to last year, Khalil Shakir's career high was 39 catches for 611 and 2 touchdowns. He caught a bunch of short passes last year. Somebody had to catch him in Buffalo. They paid him $15 million. So when you look at that Gabe Davis contract, if Gabe Davis could produce as a third option like he did similarly in Buffalo, sometimes the second, sometimes the third, he would easily pay off that contract based on the receiver market.
The only reason he didn't do that last year, his first season in Jacksonville, was because he was not doing it. He had opportunities to be
Correct.
that guy.
I'm not saying that I'm going to snap my fingers and he's going to turn back to that guy, but
Like
that's what they thought they were getting.
Right. That's the hope for Gabe Davis. For everyone, it's like they got to get past this guy. They got to move on. Well, they can't move on. The contract says they can't move on. What they need is Gabe Davis to just take advantage of the opportunities that are presented.
Just play
to him.
like yes, right.
That's it.
We're not going to throw you 80 balls, or you're not going to catch 80.
Right. Which is why, like, when I was choosing between the options, I'm like, well, which of those numbers do I like more opposite BTJ? I like the higher
stretch the field, a little higher yards
the bigger
per catch.
impact plays. Yes, that's what I would want.
I feel like a lot of guys could put up Khalil Shakir's numbers given the opportunities that he had. He averaged less than 11 yards a catch. It's not that eye-popping in the NFL. He's a good player. I don't think his contract is ridiculous. But when people look, they look at what Gabe Davis produced. Yes, he shouldn't have been paid 10 cents based on what he produced, okay? But paying him based on past performance and expected future return, that contract was not out of the ordinary. It was not ridiculous. But he's got to get back to the player that he was in Buffalo if he's going to make us feel at all like he earned it. Maybe Liam Cohen can help him get there. We've got Hayes Carline standing by in Indianapolis. We'll check in with him next as we continue along. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. You're at the home of the Jaguars in the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jacksonville is listening.
Duval, baby.
1010XL.
Don't miss the Players' Championship, March 11th through 16th at TPC Sawgrass. This can't-miss event features a variety of activities for every fan to enjoy, from delicious bites to the Sawgrass Splash. There are endless fan enhancements that will make for a memorable experience. Plus, watch the top PGA Tour players, including back-to-back champion Scotty Scheffler, take on the iconic stadium course featuring the famous Island Green. Tickets available at theplayers.com.
Did you know your pup could take 30,000 to 60,000 steps a day at Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard? That's a whole lot of tail wagging fun with their best furry friends. At Dogtopia, they turn playtime into exercise, learning, and socialization in their off-leash, open play environment. Dogs build confidence, reduce anxiety, and stay happy and healthy, all while having the time of their lives. Visit Dogtopia of Jacksonville Beach Boulevard today.
This is Daytona, the awe-inspiring spectacle of Supercross, and the most challenging course to witness the air-catching, adrenaline-pumping, heart-pounding action unlike any other race in Florida. Daytona Supercross. The biggest names battle it out under the lights at the World Center of Racing. Don't miss it. The gate drops Saturday, March 1st. Secure your tickets and trackside access today at DaytonaInternationalSpeedway.com.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday on Jaguars Today. Awaken 180 Weight Loss, your long-term solution for weight loss.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville, and you got really cool things going on right now because there's new product coming in the showroom. Tell everybody about the Aprilia Demo Days.
March 11th and 12th. It's a Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to have the Aprilia Demo Truck. We caught them on the way back from Daytona Bike Week. They're going to be there. Come ready to ride.
Tell everybody real quick about Aprilia.
They are a bad Italian motorcycle. Nobody's ever ridden an Italian anything and said that wasn't fun.
Check it out. Cycles of Jacksonville. All the details on their Facebook page.
These days, we do everything from our phones. That's why JEA's app lets you manage your utility services anytime, anywhere. Whether you want to view your account, pay your bill, sign up for programs, or check the outage map, you can do it all right from the app, when and where it's convenient for you. Because we want to make doing business with us as quick and easy as possible. Download the free JEA app from the App Store today. JEA, your community, your utility.
Are you looking for a place to outfit your truck or van? It's Catlin Truck Accessories. For 105 years and 4 generations, Catlin is the name you can count on. This is Keith Catlin, and we know trucks and vans too. From Lear toppers, ladder racks, van shelving, strobe lighting, rolling lot bed covers, and everything in between. If you want quality products and great customer service, there's only one name. It's Catlin.
Who can you count on? Count on Catlin.
For 105 years, you can count on Catlin.
Staying Alive, One Night of the Bee Gees comes to the Jacksonville Center for Performing Arts Thursday, March 6th as part of the FSCJ Artist Series. For a chance to win tickets, text PLAYLIST to the text line covered by Lifetime Flooring at 641-1010.
Hey Jacksonville, Lauren here for Big Chief Tire. Tax season is the perfect time to invest in your vehicle. Use your refund to tackle overdue tire replacements, brake repairs, or routine maintenance. Big Chief Tire's skilled technicians ensure every dollar counts, keeping your car running strong. With 5 convenient locations around town, fair prices, and trusted expertise, they've got you covered. Visit WeKeepJacksRollin.com or call 904-932-0950 to schedule an appointment today. Big Chief Tire keeps Jacks rolling.
Homeowners, listen up. It's time to start fresh in 2025. Prosser here, and Loan Pronto is here to help take control of your finances in 2025 by lowering your house payments and consolidating that nagging debt. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Right now, Loan Pronto has some of the most competitive offers for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans, starting in the low 5s APR. If your current rate is over 6%, don't settle for paying too much. Even if you're in process with another lender, call Loan Pronto now. Lock in at a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. You can even skip your next 2 house payments. It's fast, easy, and hassle-free. Get your personalized Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees. Call now, 904-999-1508, or go to loanpronto.com. That's 904-999-1508. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
We don't have too many cold nights on the first coast, but when the temperature drops, you want to hit the heat button and warm up. That's where Florida Home comes in. They're the AC experts in Jacksonville, and the importance of keeping your heating system in good working order is really important. If it stops working when it gets cooler, Florida Home will leap into action and provide you with the best solution. Heater and heat pump repair service and new system installation. They do it all. Just call Florida Home AC at 777-4300, the official heating and AC partner of the Jaguars.
Mark Watson with Hardball Creative. If you have a school, team, or group that would benefit from a team store, you're in luck because we now offer team stores. Check us out at hardballcreative.com.
Hardball Creative. Hardball does it all.
No matter what the reason, sending a floral arrangement from Kuhn Flowers always works. For unique and special gifts, visit their showroom on Beach Boulevard. Dylan Denmark here with 1010XL. Kuhn Flowers is my go-to and should be yours. Online at kuhnflowers.com.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
You can't touch this.
Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hammer time. Second day in a row. We are lucky, Tony Smith, to be heading to Indianapolis once again.
Yes, we are. The Hodges Mazda at the Avenues presents Combine coverage on 1010XL, brought to you by Window World of Northeast Florida, as we do head back up to Indy to check in with Hayes Carline. Hayes, how did the Jaguars defensive lineman Mason Graham sound this morning in his introductory press conference?
Yeah, I thought he came across really well, and it was interesting hearing him talk about his wrestling background and how that's helped him, and also just very confident. You know, when he was asked pretty much anything about anything to do with his traits or anything, he just was like, you know, put on my Ohio State film, and so you know, not over the top, but very confident young man, and it was fun getting to hear from him for about 10 minutes.
Hayes, how do you think he fits with the Jags? Let's say he's there at 5, right? And obviously they could use an improvement on the interior of the defensive line, excuse me. But I think Mason Smith holds a lot of intrigue for me. And I think ultimately they play the same position. Do you see it differently?
I like Mason Smith. I think that there is something there, but I'd have no problem investing in Mason Graham. And yes, I would agree. They're both, you know, you're looking for the penetration and things like that, you know, out of those players. But I just think you need as many of those guys as you can get within reason. And just the way the draft, I think, is going to fall, I think it's going to make the most sense for the Jaguars to go D-tackle there. And, you know, again, as you know, like that's a position where you're going to rotate guys through. So, you know, we've heard that Armstead's going to be moved more inside, but obviously he doesn't have a whole lot. This is probably his last year in Jacksonville, would be my guess. And so, you need to invest in that position. And you've got these, 2 high quality edge players. And if they could find a way to start collapsing the interior of the pocket, then, that pass rush could be pretty fierce. So, Mason Graham to me makes a lot of sense. And again, Mason Smith did do some good things in his rookie year, but he also, struggled with his conditioning and things like that. So I certainly haven't seen enough out of Mason Smith to say, oh, okay, they're good there. They don't need to worry about taking a high-quality defensive tackle.
Hayes, have you been able to get any kind of clearer picture about how the league may view Travis Hunter at this point?
I think it's his high-quality corner. I don't think he's going to be there at 5. I don't think that's going to I don't think that's going to happen. I know we're seeing it in some, mocks and so forth, but I think it's going to be that he's a full-time corner and, maybe helps on the offensive side here and there. But I just think what he could offer at corner, and it seems like that's where the league sees him as well. It's what he'll work out here as. So, I would think he's off the board in the first 3 picks, and unfortunately not on the board for the Jaguars at 5.
I think you're probably right on where he's off the board, but Cleveland did say yesterday they're evaluating him primarily as a wide receiver because they think that his greatest power is when he has the ball in his hands, and they want to give him the opportunity to do that a lot more, which would obviously be on offense. But anyway, without getting too bogged down in the whole Travis Hunter thing, Hayes Carline live in Indy. Hayes, did you learn anything new or anything make your ears perk up from whatever Liam Cohen or James Gladstone had to say at all their various media availabilities yesterday?
The thing that really stood out to me about Liam in the local scrum was he's incredibly passionate about the personnel side of things, which I don't know how many Jaguar coaches that I've covered that were really heavily and wanted to be heavily involved in that. Gus Bradley was more than willing to let Dave Caldwell handle that. I don't think Doug Marrone was much of a personnel guy. Urban Meyer was only here 1 year, and then Doug Peterson didn't really want to have a whole lot to do with it. So Liam Cohen is going to be a breath of fresh air when it comes to that, which obviously he needs to be because he's running the show. But but to hear him talk about, I've been breaking down recruiting film since I was 4 or 5 years old with my dad. It's just something I really love. I love evaluating players. I loved the recruiting component, and I love this component of scouting prospects and free agents and guys that we can bring in to help us. So that was really cool to hear from Liam Cohen. Obviously, he's gifted offensive mind, but it's also really cool that he's got such a strong desire on the personnel side of things. And then in terms of James Gladstone, I thought there was a lot of interesting things that he said in terms of, what the Jaguars are looking for. He was pretty clear. I mean, interior offensive line, setting the dish was the phrase that he used, that interior offensive line has to, provide that ability for Trevor to be able to step into throws. And so, in looking at that, he was like, offensive line, defensive line, and point scorers are what we're looking for. And I thought it was interesting, too. He was asked about the rise of the running back and, whether that was kind of a blip this past season or whether he felt like that was a shift. And he said it feels like a shift. And that's one thing that he's really excited about with Liam is that running game component that he offers. So anyway, I think it was really good yesterday from both guys and exciting times.
Frank mentioned when he joined us in the first hour, Hayes, that he's going to get the opportunity to speak with Big Bo up there. How do you feel about Tony Baselli's new role with the organization?
This is the best organizational structure the Jaguars have had in Shad Khan's ownership. Who knows how it will work, how successful they will be, but he's exactly what the organization needs. He knows everything about the franchise. He's got a good football sense. And he's going to be in the building day in and day out and very cognizant of the conversations that Liam Cohen is having with James Gladstone and the staff, and how decisions were made and what went into those decisions. And it's good that Tony's not in a decision-making role, because you want him just to be the eyes and ears and offer his opinion when asked, but be the eyes and ears so that he can give Shad a very clear picture of this is what's working and this is what isn't working. I think from an organizational standpoint, this should always be the model that the Jaguars have under Shad Khan.
All right, Hayes, final thought, and we've appreciated your coverage. We'll be listening to the Frangie Show this afternoon. Are there any other prospects coming up today in particular that you're eager to hear from?
It was cool catching up with Shamar James, the Florida linebacker. I don't know in terms of a Jaguars fit, how obviously the Jaguars are in pretty good shape at linebacker, you would think. But cool catching up with him. Cameron Jackson, another Gator, we got a chance to interview. And, he could be in play if Mason Graham is not the pick at 5. Because I certainly think the Jaguars will address the interior defensive front and what's a really strong class. So maybe somebody like a Cameron Jackson in rounds 3, 4, is probably somewhere where, he's going to go. The Jaguars have those 2 picks in the 3rd round. So yeah, it's been a good day here. It was the defensive line and linebackers today. And, it was good. But certainly Mason Graham was the star of the show. And I think he's got a great mindset. If he ends up being the pick, I think we'll all enjoy having Mason Graham here.
Many, many Lombardi trophies to follow. All right,
Yes.
Hayes Carline, we appreciate it, Hayes. And go out there and be amongst your people, and we'll be listening for you this afternoon.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Take care.
Thank you, pal. Hayes Carline on social media, of course, at his name, Hayes Carline, Carlyon. The Hammer. Hammer time has ended, and when we return in a moment, Tony, we will look at today's question of the day poll, and also we'll look at some of the, we get so many. Every week we're getting more and more mock drafts sent in on Wednesday. I love them. I look at all of them. We'll maybe go to the text line. I got about 7 or 8 of them highlighted that will focus on primarily the first 3 rounds and how you're using the Jags draft capital. We can't go all 7 rounds with everybody, but appreciate everybody who's taken the time to send one in. Somebody said earlier, that's for people who are single and don't have kids. Fine. I don't know what the status
about
is.
Me.
Right? Dylan Denmark does one every week. I have 1 kid. He's off at college, so I get it, right? It's fine. But I will say, you can knock out a 7-round mock, I would say, in 3 minutes. 3 minutes time if you put it on fast speed over at Pro Football Network. If you want to spend that little time, I bet you probably have a 3-minute break at some point in your day. But if you don't want to, that's cool too. All right, we'll come back and wrap up Jaguars Today on a fast-moving Wednesday on 1010XL and 92.5 FM.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. Every game is a story.
And the game is tied!
Every play is a moment waiting to happen.
We're going to overtime!
Your home for the most play-by-play is 1010XL.
If you suffer from constant burning, tingling, or numbness in your hands or feet, it could be a serious condition called neuropathy. I'm Dr. Nathan Riddle, DC with Riddle Wellness in Ponte Vedra. Neuropathy is treatable, and we have seen great results by using state-of-the-art, non-invasive therapies to target damaged nerves, reduce symptoms, and improve nerve function. Call 904-395-5598 to schedule your free consultation today and learn how you can live pain-free. Call 904-395-5598.
A lot of companies will tell you they're the best. At Custom Tree Surgeons, they show you every time. Custom Tree Surgeons has built an all-pro team. Every tree service professional has years of experience, continually trained and certified. They know what, when, and how to handle any job. It gets done efficiently and quickly by a team of experts. So for tree trimming, removal, stump grinding, and emergency services, forget any name other than Custom Tree Surgeons. There is no job they can't do better. Go to our website, CustomTreeSurgeons.com. That's CustomTreeSurgeons.com. And let them show you how the job is supposed to get done.
We're certainly facing interesting economic times. For me, it's comforting to know my money's in good hands with ITP Partners. Jacksonville guys taking care of my Jacksonville money. Experience? Yeah, that's Chris Bryan, Jeff Hartman, Reagan Wright, Dan Abel, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reed Wingate. They have the expertise and knowledge to take care of your money. For more info, go to ITPPartners.com. ITP Partners, they're my financial partners for life.
Non-compensated client testimonial may not be representative of all client experiences. No guarantee of future performance or success.
Everyone seems to be in a time crunch these days. Well, don't forget you can always count on the cold case at Daly's. Always convenient, always cold. Whether it's the king of beers, Natty Light, Stella, or Cigar City, or Goose Island or Bud Light Seltzer, dash into Daly's and grab one to go.
It's a Weight Loss Wednesday
On Jaguars Today.
Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
DuckDuck is now hiring plumbers. We offer excellent weekly pay, paid holidays, health insurance, 401k, and so much more. Apply now at DuckDuckRooter.com. That's DuckDuckRooter.com and click on the careers page. DuckDuck is an equal opportunity employer.
This is Hayes Carline for Kingfish Pest Control, a local family-owned business that's been chosen as the exclusive pest control provider for the brand new state-of-the-art Miller Electric Performance Center. As a Kingfish customer myself, I know their effectiveness in keeping spiders, roaches, bugs, and termites out. When I trust them for my family and the Jags trust them for their business, then you can too. For the best service in town, call my friends at Kingfish Pest Control, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
1010XL celebrates African Americans who positively impacted the First Coast. I'm RJ Saunders, and I'll share Black History Month stories with you throughout February. Black History Month on 1010XL is brought to you by Instant Keys and McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center.
Joe C for CSS Fireplaces and Outdoor Living. They can transform your backyard with fire pits, pergolas, screen enclosures, and outdoor kitchens. And CSS handles the entire project from start to finish. You dream it, they build it. CSSOutdoor.com.
Everybody, Mike Dempsey here with Matt and Catherine. They made the decision to lose weight and improve their lives together, both dropping 33 pounds thanks to Awaken 180 weight loss.
She came home so excited one day and said, I heard about Awaken 180. I'm so excited. You have to try it with me. It's not medication. It's not a shot. It's food. You're going to make meals. And I think that was one of the biggest selling points.
What makes Awaken 180 different is the maintenance program. Just to know that you get that support gives me the confidence to keep going. I think it's important for people to know how much more fun it is to do it with a partner. Just to have the support system, it's so much more helpful.
It's going to change your life.
Thanks, guys. Like any goal, accomplishing it with someone sharing the same goal makes it twice as easy and twice as rewarding. Grab a coworker, friend, or spouse and make your 180 with the solution for weight loss online at awaken180weightloss.com.
With the sun setting earlier, Hidden Hills Golf Club has expanded their twilight specials so you can take advantage of our special afternoon rates and get your round in before dark. Book today at hiddenhillsgc.com and enjoy this beautiful fall weather.
Joe C for Blossman Gas. They've been providing hometown service and the comforts of propane to home and businesses since 1951. Imagine movie night spent around glowing gas fireplace logs, cookouts in the backyard with your propane grill, or laundry done faster with your gas dryer. Blossman has a wide variety of gas appliances to fit your needs. Propane delivery, gas appliances, and a full-service team. Blossman Gas is your local company for everything propane. Blossman Gas, log on, blossmangas.com, and check out the Blossman difference.
Our slogan, Know Before You Blow, applies to more than just DUI cases. Hi, I'm attorney Lee Lockett of Lockett Law. Battery charges can result in jail time and criminal convictions too, so know before you blow a gasket and hit a loved one or a stranger. Drug crimes like possession of marijuana and cocaine will land you in cuffs too, so know before you blow. In a boating under the influence case, you also have the option to blow or not to blow. So know your options. Know before you blow. Go to knowbeforeyouBlow.com now. Offices Jacksonville.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
All right, Tony Smith, a lot to do here. Let's see. We generally try to cram a lot into the final 12, 13 minutes of the program. Today is no exception. I got a haircut today at 1 o'clock. Very excited about that because by my standards, I'm like the shaggy dog over here. So when you see me wearing a hat like multiple days in a row on the air, that's usually because the hair's gotten to the point where I'm like, it's, it just kind of lives in that you need to cut it range. Like,
sure.
It grows, but it grows so slowly that it's not worth the effort to try to grow back a full head of hair for me. Anyway, got that. I'm off the next 2 days. Yay me. So you'll have Mike DeRocco in tomorrow.
Yes.
And then you'll have McManus on Friday. Of course, more tales from the Combine and all that good stuff. I'll be going to the J-Fun Wine Tasting Gala tomorrow. I know a lot of people in our audience go to that event. I'm the worst with names. I'm decent with faces. So come up and say, hey, remember me? I'm so-and-so. And I'll be, like, happy to converse with you. Because I'll be, like, in the back of my mind, I'll be going, like, dang it. Name tags. Need name tags. I am the worst at that. But please do. Seriously, like, my wife and I go, but you want to come up, say hello, chat, old Jags, all good. Happy to do it. So we got that going on for us there. All right, today, let's get to the question of the day. Knock this one out. Today, let's see, we asked you, now that a new set of decision makers are in place, will you pay more attention to the Combine this year? Yes, I'm invigorated. Yes, we're back in the top 5. No, I already pay attention, or no, the Combine is boring. Tony, what is your answer to this?
No, I already pay attention.
Right.
It's no more focused given the changes with the Jaguars for me.
Right, I'm the same way. And I don't pay probably the same attention you do. Like, I won't watch as much of the TV coverage as you will. I'll follow along with the coverage of it. But
I like listening to the discussion and the TV coverage about all the different prospects.
I have no issues with that whatsoever. Dylan, what's your answer on this?
No, I already pay attention, meaning I go on Twitter at the end of the day and see what's popping.
That's kind of what I do. I read throughout the day. I'll be on PFT or whatever sites, whatever storylines are coming out. But yeah, it's not like, I think we all watch at varying levels, and that's not going to change based on whether Trent Baalke was there. These players are still important because some of them are going to end up on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Right now, yes, I'm reinvigorated, has 37%. No, I already pay attention, has 33%. So that's like 70% going, hell yeah. Yes, we're back in the top 5, 7%, and then only 22.5. Call it a quarter of the people saying that the Combine is simply boring. So, and I totally understand that, right?
I get it. Yeah.
Not for everybody. Let's see here. NFL ownership grades via the NFLPA report card. This is something you could probably dig into more tomorrow.
Yeah, they got the whole report card that they've released here in the last 10 minutes.
Right, which they break down all the various aspects of what have you. Jaguars got a B+. There are 3 Dolphins, Falcons, Vikings all got A+. Broncos, Chargers, Texans, Raiders, Commanders, Ravens, Saints all got A's. And then Packers, 49ers, Bears got A-. So the Jags in there with the Lions at a B+. Everybody else behind that includes the Eagles, just won the Super Bowl. So you have better ownership than the Philadelphia Eagles. How about that? But the Jags came in 15th on the list out of 32. So.
Jets got an F. They're the only team that got an F.
Panthers got a D-. Cardinals got a D-. Patriots, wow, Robert Kraft got a big fat D.
Yeah.
Chiefs got a C-.
The Chiefs got a C- for ownership. I don't know what's going on there because, this is, again, how much you're pampering the play. I don't know,
Yeah,
I don't know if this has anything to do with Kansas City's instability long-term about whether they stay where they are, they move to an adjoining state.
Like, I did glance at the NFLPA grades where they have it all in the different categories.
Yes.
And the only failing grade I believe the Jaguars got was for the family thing, which is not a change, right? For whatever reason, the Jags remain really low when it comes to families basically being involved game day. It's what that feels like to me. Are there places for moms to go take care of the babies basically on game day, and how much of that is available? And I know we've looked at these NFLPA report cards before.
Yeah.
And the family grades, I think, have gotten a little bit better in recent years. But I remember the first time we saw one of these report cards, it was like 18 or 20 of the organizations across the league got Fs when it came to taking care of the families across the league. So that grade keeps going up, which tells you they're seeing that and the teams are reacting to it somehow. But the Jaguars still got an F in that regard. But that was the only one that they got among those categories. So
it is crazy, man. The more you make, the more you expect to be given, right?
Yeah.
Like, what are you going to do for our families? How about we're paying you $20 million.
Yeah.
What does that do for your family?
I get it. If you got a mom there with her baby and she's trying to find some place to take care of the baby while she's at the game, providing a facility for them to be able to do that easily makes sense, right? Like if you're going to invite them, give them that opportunity. You can take care of them to that degree. I don't know that I've been in the building that they currently have. It's like, I don't know where a mom would go.
I don't know. I think $20 million covers a babysitter.
Yeah.
That's me personally.
I get it. I get it.
Like,
yeah.
cry tears elsewhere.
They did change one of the bathrooms downstairs where we go in, every game day. They changed one of the bathrooms that were down there to that kind of facility, right? Like it's the mom's room. Essentially is what they made it, because they used to have a male and a female bathroom down there, and they said, we have one bathroom here now, that's for the moms, right? Like
yes,
they made that
right
room.
off the main lobby right there. I know what you're talking about. The funny thing is, when I go tomorrow to the J Fund wine tasting gala, it'll be the first time I step foot in the stadium since the in-stadium practice.
That's right.
Because all my game day is in the Miller Electric Center. Yeah. Now, everything, if I go to training camp practice, Miller Electric Center. If I'm broadcasting with JP and Brian Sexton, Miller Electric Center.
I'll be joining you there next year, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did not enter the gates after the in-stadium practice last year, but I was on the grounds. All right, here's some of what we got on Mock Draft Wednesday. I focus on the text line today. Sometimes they don't get as much attention. I don't have everyone's name attached to all these, so I'm just going to go through. I like this one a lot. Mason Graham at 5, Gray Zabel at 36. Hey, somebody else had that today. Savion Williams, the TCU wide receiver, at 70. Josiah Stewart, the Michigan edge rusher, at 88. And Dorian Strong, who I also had in my mock today, at 106, the corner out of Virginia Tech. So I thought that was a very strong group right there. Here's one. Travis Hunter falls to the 5th pick, Tony. Kenneth Grant with the 36th pick. The other, I use air quotes, Michigan defensive tackle. Georgia guard Tate Ratledge. Kyle Kennard, who, I'm not going to be upset with in the 3rd round here.
Yeah.
And then the 1st pick around 4, Jared Wilson, the center out of Georgia. I love this, man. Also, some of my favorites in the back half of this one, Luke Kandra, the guard out of Cincy. Dylan Sampson, the Tennessee running back. Luke Lachey, who's been in a lot of our mocks, a tight end out of Iowa. So well done to whomever submitted that one. Excuse me, that one. Word's still getting out on Kyron Lacey. Okay, probably shouldn't be mocking him to the Jags, and had a nice exchange with somebody on the text line about this. They moved back and got, after taking Mason Graham, they took Wyatt Milam, the guard out of West Virginia, in round 2 after a 6-spot move back, which gave them an additional draft pick, pick 92. So they went Maxwell Hairston at 70, the Kentucky corner, Kyron Lacey, the LSU wide receiver, then Elijah Arroyo at 92, which I guess early 4th round there. But, no, I guess that'd be late 3rd. Regardless, Kyron Lacey arrested for negligent homicide.
Yeah.
Don't think anybody's going to be drafting him in the 3rd round.
Unclear how that's going to work out. Yeah.
Correct. And their response was, hey, they didn't see that, and which is totally fine. Not everybody has to follow every bit of news all the time. They just saw LSU wide receiver and couldn't resist, which, if you're going to go to a school for wide receivers right now, that's the place to go. Here's an interesting one, Tony. Trade back from 5 to 9. Ashton Genty, Boise State running back for the Jaguars. Jonah, the big offensive tackle out of Arizona, whose last name I can't pronounce, at 36. Deion Walker then with the pick 40 looks to be what the Jags acquired in that deal. They took Kentucky defensive tackle Deion Walker, like him a bunch as well. Jaden Higgins, the Iowa State wide receiver. Jared Ivey, the edge rusher out of Ole Miss. You had him today, right, Dylan? Jared Ivey? Is that right? Or
no, sir.
You did not. I felt like you've had him. Maybe it was just me asking you about friends at Ole Miss that has that in my head. Let's see. Mason Graham at 5. Then a move back in round 2 to get Savion Williams out of TCU. Kevin Winston, the Penn State safety. Cam Scadaboo. We haven't heard as much of him. He's still a guy that's out. I think they do draft a running back somewhere in the mix this year.
I think I had him with the 2nd, 4th round pick last week.
Yes, you did, I believe. I've kind of moved off him because I'm not sure where his draft stock is going to be. It used to be you could wait it out and get him in the 4th round, and then
it's hard to tell.
Right, I don't know where he's coming off the board, man. And then Anthony Belton, the offensive tackle out of NC State, at 88. Let's see this one here. Will Johnson. At corner after a move back to 13. Jags pick up pick 48 in the process. Tyleik Williams, the defensive tackle out of Ohio State. Gray Zabel at 48. Deion Walker at 70. The Ohio State safety Lathan Ransom. And then Ty Felton, the wide receiver out of Maryland, the earlier picks in that one. Malachi Moore at 143, which is bingo today for you and I. And then here's one, a trade back to 9, picking up pick 40. Tet McMillan, the wide receiver. Xavier Watts, safety. Boy, Jaguar fans will be losing their mind at this point. They go through the first 2 picks and they don't pick a lineman on either side of the ball. Now, granted, some of these, all these folks generally said, hey, I addressed this position. I don't have all that right in front of me. But Josh Connerly, the Oregon offensive tackle. Mason Taylor, who's a popular pick for a lot of people, the tight end out of LSU. And on we go. So it's a fun thing, man. I definitely will be watching the later rounds of the draft differently this year.
I had the team signing a right guard in free agency before I did the mock draft this week, but I didn't have a big guy in the first 2 rounds. And I traded to get an extra second-round pick. And I had a wide receiver, corner, and a safety as my first 3 picks. So I would maybe be one of the guys they're screaming at.
Probably
that's
would.
The way it worked
I think
out,
they would be.
But I can deal with that.
Right. I mean, whatever, man. It's they're just mock drafts. We got 2 months to go. Nobody freaking knows what's going to happen. But anyway, that's what we're going to do Wednesdays right up until the week of the NFL draft, at which point we'll probably be doing our media mock draft that Wednesday. All right, let's say hello to Helmets and Heels.
Now, the 2-minute drill. Serviced by Cool Cats Heating and Cooling. Locally owned and operated. We're your neighbors. Find the coolest cats in town at coolcatsjacks.com.
I'm sorry, LB. This is so true on the text line. I can see Dempsey at the wine tasting gal. Hey, you. It's you. Good to see you again. Totally, 100%. That is me.
Yeah.
Good with faces, bad with names.
Right. But that's an evening where, a lot of people have a lot of wine, so they won't remember exactly whether you remember their name or not. Hey, it's so good to see you. That's kind of the role that I go.
So, champ, sport, whatever.
Hoss, boss. Buddy?
A lot of finger pistols going on. Yeah, it's you again.
Yeah, sometimes the right way to go about it is remind me of your name. The problem is, after the 2 glasses of wine, 5 different people later, 25 different people later, you're not going to remember their name, so why even ask?
True story. All right.
I know how you roll at the wine tasting gala.
That's how
Anything
I roll in
short of Barry Milligan. The first time he met my brother, we were at a Jaguars game. We were leaving the stadium, and Barry, I could tell he'd had a few. While we were leaving the stadium, he comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, babe," and he starts rubbing my belly.
Hey, babe. Right.
And my brother's like, "What is happening?"
I love Barry, man. He's the best. You got to know Barry to understand it. But I'm going to see Barry Milligan this weekend, as a matter of fact. Oh, yeah. I'm always excited.
I think the last time I saw him was at David Lamb's memorial.
We
did the celebration of life
we were
at
threatening
JU.
to kill all manner of wildlife as we put a peg in the ground on Sunday. I haven't played golf in a while, so could be an interesting day. What's coming up today for Helmets and Heels?
Hopefully you'll play better than Tiger.
Has he been bad? I don't know. Is he playing in
I'm
that?
just saying the TGL. I think his team's not doing well.
Man, I see that, and it offends me to even see it on the TV list.
I don't
I'm
watch it.
skip right past that nonsense.
What's coming up? So Mia O'Brien up in Indianapolis.
Yes.
She will catch up with EJ Snyder right off the rip of Bootleg Football. Then at 12:15, Frank Frangie will sit down with Jaguars Executive Vice President of Football Operations, Tony Baselli. And then coming up at 12:35-ish, we will have Mike Silver also joining Mia up there of The Athletic. So a very, very busy first hour. Really excited to hear from all the key principals, as we had, obviously, as you know, Liam Cohen and James Gladstone sit down with Frank yesterday.
We've done it again. We've won the offseason. We've done it again, LB.
You know what's funny? I feel like somewhere Ben Johnson and Ian Cunningham are sitting there like, man, the Jags actually did a good job. They didn't pick us, but...
Right, where's that Chicago Bears buzz? Hey,
Right.
Ryan Poles, make some good picks again, huh? Go on, Ryan Poles.
Maybe I'm just saying that because I do a show with a Bears fan.
Well, there's that, yes. And remind her again, Jaden Daniels and Brian Thomas Jr. were the correct picks.
For sure.
Last year.
By the way, Anthony Richardson having open competition. Do you think that that's going to help him or hurt him?
I think they have to do it.
I think they have to, too.
I mean,
but...
so I don't...
I think that's up to Anthony
Right.
Richardson.
Right. It really, like, if Anthony Richardson needs somebody pushing him to bring out the best in him, then you probably shouldn't have taken him with the 4th overall pick.
We once had a competition between Gardner Minshew and Trevor Lawrence, so we know how it goes.
Well,
competition.
Depends
Gardner
on what.
led the stretching lines, Tony.
Yeah, well, that's always important. LB, have a great show.
Thank you so much, gentlemen.
All right, there you go. Lauren Brooks out the door. All right, Tony, have a good couple days without me. How
You do
can
the
it not
same,
be
yeah.
when I'm not around, right? So everybody else have a wonderful 4-day weekend. And I will talk to you Monday. Tony will be back tomorrow with D-Rock right here in studio. For Tony and Dylan Denmark, I'm Mike Dempsey. Thank you for listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
Jaguars